Paul Jones, the radio voice of the Toronto Raptors. And man, oh man, oh man, the team's on a roll. They do two things right. Big trade on the weekend and then a victory against the Cleveland Cavaliers on New Year's Day. Paul, what's your take?
Well, I mean, it was a good win for that team. You think about it, those guys were in town, probably 24, 36 hours, and they both start. It was interesting in talking to Emmanuel quickly after the game and hearing him say he's just trying to figure it out. The good thing is when you understand how to play, there are some things that are easy to figure out. I mean, Darko's got the grease board out during stoppages in play and diagramming stuff, and you could see Schroeder telling him where he had to be on what play. And I think that's a good win over a pretty good team. I know Cleveland's banged up a little bit, but they're still a really formidable opponent. So it was a good win. And overall going forward, I kind of like the trade. You get younger. There are obviously some salary considerations in there, as there always are in the NBA. And, it gives Toronto a fresh start with a real young core that they can put in place and see how well they can advance.
Well, they have control of Barrett for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, and that was it, Bob. Like when the deal was made, OG's going to opt out of his, I think 19 million this year. And he's going to ask, I had heard he was going to ask for big time money. And you've got Siakam that's up this year. You're going to have to pay Scotty Barnes. You've got control of Barrett, and he's not making an inordinate sum of money that you have to, this millstone around your neck with the trade. I mean, he's still 23. He's getting paid well, but he's not going to kill your salary cap. And you've got room. Look, you're going to have to pay quickly, but maybe you don't have to pay him as much as you would have had to pay Anunoby. And then Scotty's coming up too. So, your core will be locked up for a while.
Yeah. But why did the Knicks get rid of quickly? What's the reason for that?
There was no room for him to play, John. He was playing behind Jalen Brunson. And I mean, here's a guy who was runner-up for sixth man of the year. He's looking to grow. And, some of the inner workings people told me around OG was, and I don't know if it's true, I've only checked it with one source. If Toronto wasn't able to keep him and he's going to walk, he may have walked to New York. So you might as well, deal with the guys that he's going to go to and see if you can get something.
My sense is that Quickly was a part of the deal because the Raptors wanted him, not because the Knicks wanted to get rid of him. I don't think he's a starter in New York. He hasn't been really most of the time. But he's a good enough player that they probably wanted to keep him. But in order to get Anunoby, who they wanted, obviously, they had to give him up. And Barrett was a guy, or is a guy, who I think has fallen a bit out of favor in New York. He was, he was considered a star when he went there. He's still a pretty good player. I think he started just about every game for them. But he's not really thought of as an impact player. Do you think you agree?
Well, he's certainly third. He was certainly third on the list, Bob. He was certainly the third option behind Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. And I mean, it's a growth thing right now. He comes to Toronto. He may at times be the third option, but he may at times be the second or the first option. So look, you're Toronto. He's 23 years old, RJ Barrett. Right. I keep thinking about that. He played against my kids when they were all the same age. And he's coming to a place where he's getting a new start. New York was, like I said, and you said, Bob, he was the third option there. And it will be a fresh start for him here. You just looked at the game last night with both of those guys in the starting lineup. They played with great energy. There was just a renewed energy and vigor in the team and actually in the building, for that matter, at the start of that game.
Maybe, but that's not going to last,
Well, no, you're right, Bob. You only play Yeah, you only play so long on emotion, and after a while, water finds its level. So, but I still see the potential in this team. It's too bad it wasn't a 6-game homestand instead of a 6-game road trip to get them settled and have a chance to kind of practice and get to the practice facility and work with coaches and work with some of their teammates in smaller groups. They're going out on a hellacious road trip right now, and that is going to be difficult.
The one thing that I asked you on Saturday after the trade was RJ Barrett's one of the few guys in the NBA that's really going from the frying pan to the fire. You know, lots of people would say going from New York to Toronto, there'd be less pressure, but not for RJ Barrett. Do you think he understands that?
Yeah, he does, John. He does. And I had a really good talk with his dad, Rowan, who is, who runs all our business at Canada Basketball, and he understands that. And one of the things I asked him about was, he's coming home, and there's pressure coming home. And he said, well, that's going to be on his team, the people that support him, not just his family, but his team, to make sure he's able to stay focused on basketball, because that's what it's about. I mean, a great story from Jalen Rose when we went to Detroit. I said, Jalen, how do you handle all this? He said, hey, man, I've been in the league a while. I look after tickets for my family and everybody else. When they call me, I say, well, here's the number for Ticketmaster. Like he's not about, trying to entertain and be distracted. He's there to do a job. And I think you're going to see a lot of the same stuff with RJ Barrett. When he got traded, he was in the practice facility pronto. And he's not staying at home. He's staying in a hotel right now. So I think he's about keeping his focus.
Do you think the Raptors have enough three-point shooting right now to be significantly better than they have been the first 35 games or so?
Depends if Barrett can make some threes, Bob, because you traded a good three-point shooter in Anunoby, and you got one back in quickly. You got one back on the perimeter, and it's all a matter of, can Barrett start knocking down some shots? Last night I had to adjust my glasses. They shot 7 of 10 from 3 in the first quarter. Quickly hits the first 2, and I thought, oh, can it change this quickly? Literally. And then
no, it can't.
It can't. Then they went 3 for their next 17.
Right,
and as
exactly.
we say, water finds its level. So it's something that, John and I talked about with Jack at the beginning of the year. Just give me average. Just give me the middle of the pack. Just make as many as the other guy makes. In the close game against Boston on Friday night, Boston, who's one of the top three-point shooting teams, both squads made 17 three-point shots. And that's what the league has become right now. You gotta
right, exactly,
by making threes, and your offense has to keep you in games. And as we say, if you're a Raptor fan, just give me average.
So after the trade, they go and lose in Detroit, which, by the way, was as good of sports theatrics as I've seen in a long period of time. When you think about the emotion that Little Caesars Arena, it was wild Saturday night.
It was a playoff game.
It was, and I mean, people thrilled that the team has now got 3 wins. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And they lost they lost last night to Houston 136-113.
Well, there was a letdown there. So, but what's the expectation for this Raptor basketball team between now?
There isn't any.
Well, no, I think there. I mean, fans. Maybe fans have to have some expectation, and I think the organization does.
Well, what do you think, Jones? Don't give me some BS about how they may be a playoff team or something.
We waved the white flag on that, Bob.
I'm going to quote Bob McCown here. You're either selling wins or you're selling hope. And right now, they're selling hope. And the hope is that they can win enough to climb into the play-in. I got to believe that. I mean, for me, people asked me at the beginning of the year, and we talked about this. I thought this was basically the same team as last year without Fred. You put Dennis Schroeder in that place, but he's playing well because the system has changed. But I saw them as, possibly a 500 team and a play-in team. And I still think that's where they could end up if they cobble this thing together.
Not a chance. Not a chance in hell.
Well, the season's teetering right now because you're going out west on a 6-game trip and you've already got 20 losses. So I would say the season is teetering, and your best bet is moving forward that these guys come together quickly, the new guys, and you're able to get a few wins out there and get into the play-in. That's got to be at least the goal right now.